Welcome to Beating a Dead Horse, the podcast where we take the things that have been talked to death and talk about them some more. Follow us on Twitter at HodgeJoshMC, at BeachJD, or at BADH Live to submit your questions that we'll talk about on the show. Beating a Dead Horse is recorded live on youtube.com/HodgeJoshMC on Monday nights. If you're listening on iTunes, join us live to interact with us there. We hope you enjoy the show, and now our hosts, Josh and Jonathan. This is Beating a Dead Horse. All right, everybody, and welcome to Beating a Dead Horse, Season 2, Episode 2. Once again, my co-host is not Jonathan, as the theme song would suggest. We got Andy back with us. Hey, Andy.
Hey, what's up?
Because I've been talking to you for the past, 30 minutes. But, guys, I am still sick, so you're gonna probably hear me cough a few times tonight, and we're gonna make do, man. You know, you can only hide in your room for so long, and I'm done doing it.
Sure.
I wanted to say on the front end, we're kind of unofficially, I'm sponsored by Loot Crate, so I'm gonna use this on the front end so I can feel fancy, like a real podcast. But if you do not have Loot Crate, you should check it out. It is a monthly subscription box. Gets you awesome nerd paraphernalia. And I have a code you can use. You can go to lootcrate.com/HodgeJoshMC. Use the code HodgeJoshMC for 10% off your first purchase of a Loot Crate. It is like a monthly gift from a friend who understands you. So check it out. And they didn't ask me to do that. I don't even know they know I did that. But it's my channel, and they sponsor me, so I feel like I can do that.
Yeah, last month's was really good. The theme was invasion. They had some X-Files stuff. They had some Fifth Element stuff. An alien plush that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so this month, I'm pumped about it because the theme is, isn't it dead? Is it dead?
It's dead. Like, they're going off of the Deadpool thing, but there's going to be other stuff in there, too.
Just 2 Deadpool items and a Walking Dead item.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pumped to get it. I'm hoping you guys will, too.
Yeah, there was a snafu with my delivery. But I talked to them today, and my January crate should be here. I've had a couple of problems, but you know what? I will say this about Loot Crate. They have been great about getting back with me, like when I do have issues. Their support team is really good. You hope you never have to use them, but if you ever do, Loot Crate does have one of the best support teams that I've had the pleasure of dealing with.
Definitely. Me too.
So I will say that for them, and that is all of the plugging that I'm going to do for that. Let's get into this junk. I know last week we talked about the Oscars for 45 minutes, and I apologize. Andy and I love movies, and that ended up being, and also we don't know when to shut up. So you combine those two, and we end up talking about the Oscars for 45 minutes.
It's true.
We're working on the format, trying to find out what works for us. Jonathan and I have been doing this show for a while. We do things a little differently, so we're trying to get all the kinks worked out. So thank you for sticking with us and being a part of our growing pains. Not the TV show, though we wish you would show us that smile again.
Yes.
And interestingly enough, to bring it back to last week, Leonardo DiCaprio was in that show.
Season.
The last season. So anyway, that's enough of that. So, man. Something seemed to have happened this weekend, this Sunday. What the heck happened?
Oh, yeah. It was a sports ball game.
It was a sports ball.
It was pretty important. It was the Super Bowl.
I heard that one of the teams scorched harder than the other team scorched.
Well, it all came down to who scored the most points.
Really, who scored the most points?
Time.
That is how it normally goes down.
Yeah, so we but yeah, they some people watch the game for the game and the men on the field, and some people watch for the commercials.
Yes.
I am one of both.
Yeah, you are, which is interesting.
The game was interesting. I won't go into it. You probably see enough on your Facebook and Twitter feeds.
I do.
From your friends from high school. But the commercials were a mixed bag this year. They were kind of hit and miss. I was like, did you by chance see any of them, Josh?
So the only one that I saw was that awkward puppy monkey baby. And and that's really the only one. And I didn't even see it because I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I was firmly planted at my computer playing Diablo 3 during the Super Bowl. But I did see that Puppy Monkey Baby sketch thing when I was watching the YouTubes while I was Diabloing. So I didn't see it during the Super Bowl, but apparently it's a Super Bowl commercial. And it's the stuff my nightmares are made of.
It was haunting my nightmares last night. We the party I was at tended to kind of talk through most everything. That commercial did not get talked through
because it's so weird.
Crap, it was.
I didn't know how they were gonna one up their last commercial, the one that had like the twerking dog.
Oh my gosh!
But they did it.
I don't understand the Kickstart commercials, but dang it, do they make them very memorable?
They do. I don't know, man. That Puppy Monkey Baby thing it freaks me out. It's weird looking.
It's so weird. But as far as like the other commercials, they were like Drake did a Hotline Bling one.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of funny, but not really. It was for T-Mobile. Mm-hmm. Steve Harvey came back and did and kind of played on his Miss Universe stuff. And did a pretty good job with the T-Mobile commercial. Bud Light had a really good one with Amy Schumer. Avocados had a random one with Scott Baio. Okay. It was, and then there was
wait, back up. There was a commercial for avocados?
Yes.
That's not a brand, right?
Well, it's I think they're Mexican avocados. It's kind of like what they did, what almonds did for a while, or cashews, or what were the things?
I don't know. I'm trying to get like is it a fruit? Is an avocado a fruit?
I don't know.
It's not a. It would be, right? Because it has a pit, like a peach. I don't know, but how does an avocado, like if it was like a certain brand maybe, but just avocados? How do they get a commercial?
Well, I think it's from the Mexican avocados, like kind of what was it that had remember the Stephen Colbert Hawk Eagle commercial? What was that for? Pistachios?
Oh yeah.
It was kind of like that. It was very.
Was that not for like planners or something?
It wasn't. It was just generic Mexican avocados.
So weird.
It is. It is.
Was it good?
It was sort of funny.
Did it make you want an avocado?
No. But I don't like avocados anyway.
What?
It made me miss Scott Baio a little bit though. You know, Charles in Charge.
I don't know that I've ever missed
our days and our nights.
I don't know that I've ever thought I miss Scott Baio. I don't know that that's ever been a thing that's gone through my mind. Like, I've never just been sitting around and been like, man, what is Scott Baio doing today?
Oh my gosh. Oh man. But yeah, they were hit and miss. They were okay. Some of them were funny. Some of them were not. Some of them were, I don't know. There have been memorable ones. I feel like they've just been hit or miss for a while, because I feel like what people do is like if they're super funny or a little shocking, there becomes like a backlash. Like remember the Snickers one from a few years ago, where like they're eating on both sides of the Snickers and they like accidentally touch their lips and they're like, "Quick, do something manly."
Yeah.
It was, and then like backlash, like that was funny. But I feel like people are playing it safe, or like companies are playing it safe more and more.
Hey, do they still do those awkward GoDaddy commercials during the Super Bowl?
No, I did not see one.
That's odd.
I did not see any like hot women.
Oh, okay. Now, did you do the watch it on TV or did you stream it? Because I noticed this year
I went to a party with people who still have cable, so I watched it on TV.
Okay, because I noticed a lot of people were streaming it, which was cool. I mean, I think we've talked about it before on the show, but that to me is definitely the future of television.
Absolutely.
And so it's cool to see when big things, like I've noticed it with the presidential debates too, just that things are being streamed more often now, I think is A-okay. Like, I'm so excited about it. So the Super Bowl is always a big one, right? I can remember a couple of years ago, I wanted to have a Super Bowl party. I didn't have cable, and the place that we were watching didn't have cable. And so I went and bought a an antenna just for that, and we're able to pick it up, but just barely. And so gone are those days because man, if you can just get someone's like cable login, you can you can watch it
Yeah.
streamed.
I mean, Verizon has an app that you can watch all the NFL games,
Mm-hmm.
or like I think they're like the CBS Sports app.
Yeah, CBS was the
Literally,
one.
you just put on your Chromecast, or you put on like your Roku stick,
Yep.
or your Xbox or PS4, and you can just stream anyway that way.
Yeah, you could. So there was a couple ways. Like I know people were watching on their phones because you could do it for. You didn't have to have a login for that.
No.
But if you'd have an Apple TV, you could have AirPlayed it. But if you like have somebody's cable login, like you could do it that way too. Because I know we do that with our father-in-law lets us use all his stuff. So I could have if I'd wanted to, I could have, but I didn't because I don't care about the Super Bowl, and I'm okay with that. Like I've just decided in my life, like where I am, like I just don't. It's fun for me when I could do it with people, but I wasn't gonna be able. There was no parties or anything, so it's just not fun for me. So I don't do it.
Yeah, I think I would have done the exact same thing if I wasn't if I didn't go to a party. I would have just kind of stayed home and watched the commercials the next day and
Yeah.
caught on Twitter.
One of the things I want to talk about, kind of related to the Super Bowl, and I feel bad because I didn't watch it, but I know like I've seen sort of mixed emotions about the halftime show, which happens every year, by the way. Which I mean, I was listening. Someone I was talking to when I was playing Diablo was actually watching the Super Bowl, so I heard the halftime show. It sounded fun. I didn't watch it, but it sounded fun.
It was fun.
And I think that's what bothered me because I go on Facebook like immediately after, and there's all these people like just trashing it. And then I said it. I mentioned that I was like, man, why is everybody trashing the halftime show? And the people I was talking to were like, well, they do that every year. They trash it every year. People trash the suit. And I thought about it, and they do. And so that brings me to like what is one of my main questions for tonight that I want us to talk about. Why does everyone hate everything?
Well, it's the old it's the old Abraham Lincoln quote. You can please some of the people all of the time, but you can't please all the people.
Is that a real Abraham Lincoln quote?
I feel like it is. I don't know. It could be one of those like Instagram quotes where you have like a picture of Taylor Swift and she's quoting.
It was actually Ted Bundy that said it, but somebody put it over a picture.
It was actually Hitler.
Hitler said it.
But like you cannot like with the Super Bowl, you have to pick someone for the halftime show that millions of people know.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pick the people who are casual fans of football. You know, because if it was like regular fans of football, like you'd have Kid Rock play every year. But one Sunday a year is when like 200 plus million people do like watch, and so you can't have somebody like Psy can't do the Super Bowl halftime show. It has to be somebody with name recognition.
Right.
So that's why they generally pick like legacy people, and so especially recently. Like Paul McCartney, U2, Bruce Springsteen, The Who was one year, and recently they've gotten a little better with more more current people, but they're still well known. I'm trying to think. Bruno Mars is really well known. Beyonce was really well known, and Coldplay is pretty well known. Now Coldplay has some backlash because they are like a generic white bread band. Coldplay 10 years ago is sort of like what Maroon 5 is now. And there was even a tweet last night. Cookie, the actress who plays Cookie on Empire, she was like, "Oh my gosh, Maroon 5 is making my life," and she was talking about Coldplay.
That's funny.
Yeah, and but you have to look at it that way. And so if you have like middle America doesn't care about Beyonce, like traditional football players. They'd rather have Paul McCartney out there or Prince. But then you look at people who are more current and more up to date, and they want to see like in last night's case, they want to see Bruno Mars, they want to see Beyonce, but they don't care about Coldplay. Like I kept seeing awkward third wheel memes from Chris Martin when Beyonce had like a minute and a half or two
Yeah.
minutes. Um, anyway,
I
so
think I think I saw the other side of that. Like, I didn't see anybody complaining about Coldplay really. The complaints I saw were about Beyonce, and it just goes. Andy and I were talking about this before. I'm just tired of seeing people be racist, and I know like I'm on the internet, and maybe I shouldn't say that out loud because like there's a bunch of people on here that are racist. Not here, but like just on the internet in general. But like I'm just tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of having to hear it. And I think that's what I felt last night. I was like, it felt to me like people were saying, like, "Oh, you got Beyonce and my Coldplay," and it just, I don't know. I watched it and I was just like, I don't stop it, just stop.
yeah, I
Because like,
understand
and here's the thing, I don't even love Beyonce. Like, I think she's okay.
so,
I know the
the
agency's coming.
agency.
I don't even like Beyonce all that much, but like, the girl's got talent and she's worked to get where she's at. So like, give her the credit, man.
Yeah. I mean, the entertainment, she's an entertainer.
Yeah,
And like, I would probably never, I don't ever buy her music, but I will watch the crap out of one of her performances.
yeah,
Like,
she's good.
like Bruno Mars is the same way. Like, I would pay to see Bruno Mars sing as opposed to like listen to him. Um, because he's so good.
Puts on a good
But
show.
they put on good shows, and Coldplay does the same thing. I
Hmm.
mean, the thing you can look at is what kind of music do they listen to? Like if they're listening to country, or if they listen to typical, like, I don't know, that they don't listen to R&B or pop music,
Right.
then they're not going to like Beyonce.
Which has always been funny to me because like I know there's this large subset of people that like are super into football and the Super Bowl. So let me back up because like everybody cares about the Super Bowl, even if you don't care about the Super Bowl. But
Yeah.
like football in general, like the people that followed this crap all the way up to the Super Bowl, like very intently, like they don't listen to that kind of music. And so of course they're not gonna like it. But like just stop. Like you had your football time. Let me have the time that I care about and stop being annoying. Like just
Yeah.
music has moved beyond you, so just stay and listen to your music from 30 years ago, and complain about how it's all bad now. And we'll be here listening to really good music. Um,
And also in like defense, and in defense of overgeneralizing football fans,
sure.
I think we have to be careful of doing what they're doing just on the reverse. Is that there were plenty of people who loved Beyonce, and
Yeah.
there were plenty of things that were going on, and like people who loved it that also love sports ball. Um,
Right.
and I think that being a hater is just it's stupid, man.
Yeah.
Why would you want to be a hater all the time
Right. Right.
if we're talking about hating things? It's like no one's ever gonna like everything you do
Sure.
or everything that happens. We don't. I don't love keeping up with the Kardashians, but apparently it's been on long enough that
Yeah. Apparently
there's
somebody does.
there's enough people that want it.
I
Uh,
mean, are we having trouble keeping up with them? I mean, I feel like they're everywhere.
right. And
No,
so
but real quick, before we
yeah,
move on, because I want to keep talking about this a little bit. We
yeah.
got some new folks in chat. I like to reward that when I see it. So let you guys know that this actually is recorded live. So Braden has logged in. Welcome, welcome. And the question is being asked what this stream is about, and that I expected some of these questions because we just started doing this on YouTube. So basically, this is Beating a Dead Horse. It's our weekly podcast show, and we talk about movies and games and stuff that's going on in our lives, and basically just talk about it. So that's kind of what we do. We let you guys ask questions. So if you have things you want to hear us talk about, ramble about, give you our horribly one-sided opinions on, please send them our way in the chat. We love interacting with chat. So basically, we have show notes that we run off of, and as we see cool questions, we kind of interrupt and talk about them. But I wanted to come back to this. The question I asked earlier, and because we talked about the halftime show and people hating it, but like the attitude that I see in people lately is like, that's a thing I don't like. Let me tell you all the ways I hate it, and that has become what we use social media for and what we use like our mouths for most of the time. And I'm just like, I feel like I've hit a point of like, I'm tired of everything being super negative. And I know let me before we go with that. I know that a lot of what our show is that, but it's like a joke. Like we're joking about, like I talk about how I hate Christian Bale all the time. I don't really hate Christian Bale. I'm not a huge fan. I don't hate him. But if you were to look at past episodes of this show where I've said that it's like Christian Bale, Kristen Stewart, and then Hitler, like I don't mean that. But like some people do. Some people hate things that much, and I just don't understand. What do you?
I don't. I understand it. I understand where it comes from. I guess I think that it's because we are connected all the time now between Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. I mean, literally all of our computers come with cameras, and so we can just take everything that we want. And so we have all of this. We have all these abilities to just say what we're thinking. Sometimes we're talking out of anger. Sometimes we're talking out of fear. Sometimes we're talking out of just being ticked off.
And sometimes we're talking out of our butts.
Exactly. And I can tell you, I don't know about you, Josh, but I can tell you that there is a whole subsection of old social media profiles that I do not want getting out. Because people will judge me hardcore. Because 18-year-old Andy was an idiot.
Yeah, that's true.
And I also think that we have been trained by this is going to be sound stupid, the media. I can't believe I said it. We've been trained by media, by like interview shows and like talking head shows that we have to have a definitive opinion about stuff.
Yeah.
And it can't be, well, I sort of like this, but I don't like that. Like it has to be, you have to really love it or you have to really hate it. There's no in between. And then couple that with the fact that you're not talking to people face to face. Like you're not going up to someone and saying, "Hey, your movie sucked." You're saying it to a screen, or you're saying it through a keyboard, and people don't understand the ramifications of those of the words that they say.
I have a great story for this.
Okay.
So this is, I know I've been crapping on everybody else and like everybody else is mean and they should get it together. But let me tell you a story about myself. When I did this, like, cause you just said like we don't do it in person. We do. We become like keyboard warriors and we just type words. I mean, heck, I'm on YouTube, so I've seen crazy comments. I never will forget the first time I had a YouTube video that like showed my face, and like the first 5 comments were like fat, and like just, like it wasn't even like anything other than that one word. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, yeah, what do you want from me? But that's not the story I want to tell you. The story I want to tell you was, I won a contest a while back ago. And I worked with Sony and worked with a company called MoFilm. And the final part of that contest, and actually Jonathan, the normal co-host of the show, he went with me to Vegas. And we had this big cool party, and they brought in a keynote speaker, because everybody at MoFilm is filmmakers. Then you have me and like 5 other people that like all we do is play video games, because we were there with Sony. And they brought in this speaker to talk to all these like aspiring filmmakers and these 5 gamers. And but that night, one of the couples at our table got engaged. And so the keynote speaker came over and talked to our table and like had a really nice conversation. Well, that speaker was John Landau, the producer of Titanic and Avatar and all these movies that I love. Now, as much as I say I love Avatar, and I do, I think it's well done. I appreciate James Cameron. I think the movie was beautiful. I think it pushed movie making farther than it had been before. I'm super excited about it. One of the things I crap on about that movie is that they're looking for something called unobtainium. And everybody craps on that, right? Like, we all talk about it. We all make fun of it. We've all had our little conversation. Unobtainium. So, John Landau comes over, talks to us, and we're talking about movies and film, and I got really, like, not, like, I had this moment where I was like, hey, I know things that John Landau, like, so he started talking about, like, high frame rate films, because he was saying that the new Avatar movies are going to be filmed in that high frame rate like they did The Hobbit with, and, I was talking to him about high frame rate, and being like trying to sound way smarter than I was. And like, oh yeah, high frame rate. I think it's the future. I'm glad that you agree. And da 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 da. And then all of a sudden, and it was like it came out of my mouth, and I wanted to like grab it as it came out of my mouth and pull it back. But I went, by the way, unobtainium, really? And this dude, I've never had somebody like that. I mean, he's not like famous. I mean, he is famous though, but not like in the same way someone else is. But he's a big deal. Like, he's got a lot of money, definitely been involved in some major projects. And I just totally like crapped on his movie in front of him, and he was like, he just stared at me like he couldn't believe that I had the audacity to say that to him, kind of in his element. And I really thought he was just gonna be like, well, that was rude, and walk away, but he didn't. He was super cool about it, and he was like, well, you know, in the scientific world, when something is hard to find or hard to obtain, sometimes scientists will actually come up with a code name like unobtainium. He said that, and I was like, oh crap, I'm a douchebag. And so I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know that. See, you learn something new every day. And then he goes, and this is the best part, he goes, well, at least that's our story, and we're sticking to it. And then he just kind of like punched me in the arm and walked off. It was wonderful. So yeah, people hate on things, and I am one of them. But we gotta stop, man. I think I get it. We have opinions, and you're right. The talking head show format, which by the way is what we do.
Yes, you're right.
Like tells us to do those sorts of things, and I do it on the show, and I'll keep doing it, even though I'm like blah blah blahing about it today. But I just think, like, as society, like, I thought in myself that day that it bled out into my real life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, holy crap. Like, I was just a complete douche nozzle. And we can't be that. So, rule of the day, don't be douche nozzles. If we can just not be douche nozzles.
I mean, I would say for the 4 people that are watching, I would just suggest, like, and remind that this is things that people create, that they put their heart and soul to it, that they've worked really hard on it. Like, even with a movie, like, even if it is something terrible that we don't like people spent a year and a half plus on it, like, working. And so, yeah, like, it may not work. But you know, these are things that we love as a whole, even which is why we care about them, and we care about them when they suck.
Yeah.
But just to be reminded of that you wouldn't like it when if someone crapped on your creative thing.
Right. It was just for a moment I was like, holy crap! I just became a YouTube comment.
Oh yeah, a real life one.
I was just a real life YouTube comment, which is essentially what Donald Trump is. You know, if we can hate on a thing, again. Yep. But anyway, so that's all I really want to say about that. Stop being douche nozzles, everybody. Yeah. Stop being douche nozzles, Josh. Stop being douche nozzles, Andy. I feel like I'm about to write a children's book. Don't be a douche nozzle, Josh.
Douche nozzles. That sounds like a Dr. Seuss character.
It's like a go-to-bed book for kids. It just reminds them not to be a crappy human. Just don't be a douche nozzle, Josh.
Oh my gosh! So this week was pretty slow as far as pop culture, like outside of the Super Bowl. And,
it was.
You know, we're gearing up for Deadpool.
Woo!
It's coming, man. I'm super excited for it. We talked about it a lot last week.
We did.
A little bit prematurely. And so we're set, like, we're gonna have, hopefully I'm gonna go see it this weekend, and hopefully Josh will too.
Oh, I'm definitely. That is like Valentine's Day at our house.
Right. I unfortunately had saw The Choice this week, which I will not comment on Nicholas Sparks movies on this thing. Let's just say there was a female involved.
Was that the movie you went and saw?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I need to talk to you about that off camera.
Yes, you do. for so many reasons.
Reasons.
I'm so ashamed. But I did want to start off with just a generic what you playing.
Okay.
You play a lot of video games. I play a lot of video games. So I wanted to ask what you're playing.
So what I'm playing, much to the chagrin of you and the other people that we normally play video games with, is I have been locked in a a Diablo spiral for the past probably 5 days.
Oh my gosh.
So basically, if you haven't played Diablo before, they introduced on the PC version of this game something called seasonal play. And so
Wow.
you create a character at the beginning of the season, and you get it up as high a level as you can possibly get it. As you do that, you unlock stuff for your character in the season, but then also for after the season's over. Because when the season's over, that character is gone. But you earn things that you can use later in the game, and they're just like, by the way, mostly cosmetic. They are like portraits for your character's picture to be on, and pets that follow your character around and pick up gold for you. And they're just silly cosmetic things, right? But it gives me, I'm a huge, the way I game is like, if you give me things to unlock, I want to unlock them. And I have a pretty good group that plays Diablo that I didn't even know kind of existed. I've been a part of this group for a while. One of my YouTube buddies, Dreamweaver23, who I've done some of my songs with, plays a lot of Diablo. A long time ago, added me to this group, mostly of people that he plays with when he streams. And I logged into Diablo, and there are all these people on, and like, they power leveled me, and I've gone the farthest this season than I've ever gone. I've gone so far, like, I don't want to stop now. So I'm playing a lot of Diablo 3.
Nice.
However, tomorrow, Destiny, because whatever Crimson Doubles starts tomorrow, and I'm super stoked about that. We can talk about that in a minute. What are you playing, Andy?
I'm playing a combination of things. I'm playing. I was doing a power run on Destiny. I've been spending the last few weeks trying to get my Touch of Malice, which if you don't know what that is, basically you get this quest from Eris, one of the NPCs, one of your guide people, and you have to collect these things called calcified fragments, which are hidden all over the dang map.
Yep.
On one of the maps, and you have to do different. Some of them you just randomly find. Some of them you have to go through strikes or missions to find, and the raid you have to find them there. And
all
so
over the game.
I spent with a couple buddies of ours. Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
No, Wednesday. Whatever. One of the days last week, doing a raid, so I could get the last three.
That was Friday.
It probably was. No, I don't know. Anyway,
It doesn't matter, really.
It doesn't matter. The point is I got my last 3 calcified fragments, finished the quest.
Do you have your Touch of Malice now?
And I got my Touch of Malice.
Woo!
Finally. So
Woo!
that was probably my last big thing to get outside of some 320 loot gear. So I've been taking a break the last few days. With Destiny, my thing with games is I'll go hard on them for like a week or two, where that's the only one I'll play, and then I need a break.
Yep.
And so I've been playing NBA 2K16.
Some sports ball.
With a my career player, and doing all the art. Like, it's secretly an RPG.
Right.
It's crazy. Like, you have to you only get a certain amount of like upgrades, and then you have to choose which ones you want.
Mm-hmm.
To be what you get to choose what kind of sports ball player you want to be. And so I've been playing that the last few days, and then of course I just got Battlefront. It was on sale on the PSN, the PlayStation Network last week, and so I bought that and played it a little bit. I'm terrible.
I am awful at it.
I'm not as bad as you.
Thanks.
But I'm still worse.
Yeah, it's so I played did you play the old Battlefront games?
No.
Okay, so see, this is interesting because like I was a big Battlefront player back. I was in high school, maybe. I think high school.
That's right.
And I played Battlefront on my PS2. I played first and second Battlefront. I had Battlefront on my PSP back in the day. Back when like you tried to do online and it was crappy, like online, it was awful. But I played it. I mean, I was super into Battlefront. I gotta say, this game to me doesn't capture what I felt in the old Battlefront games, and I think it's really the lack of a campaign.
Mm,
Um, but it's solid. It's beautiful. I'm gonna give it that. It is a beautiful game.
yeah,
And if you want to like for a minute be in Star Wars, then yeah, by all means, get it. It's fun. I am terrible at it, but hopefully I'll get better.
yeah. It's definitely one of those games that you need friends with.
Yeah, yeah. Playing it
Friends.
by yourself is not fun at all.
No, and like I have I have friends that can only play like 3 or 4 rounds of it before they get bored.
Hmm.
Um, and these are people that play Destiny for hours and
Yeah,
hours and hours.
yeah,
Uh, so it's saying something that Battlefront isn't something on their list.
yeah.
I think it would have benefited from a campaign, but I also understand like trying to emphasize the multiplayer part of it.
And to be fair, those games came out when multiplayer was new, and so those they didn't make use of that as much because not everybody could do it.
Yeah,
It just wasn't. It wasn't a regularly like it was. It existed. There was multiplayer for Battlefront 2, um, but it was just like it wasn't something that everybody did, and connections were kind of squirrely, and it's just a totally different era of gaming now. Um, and so I could see them being like, "Oh, it's got to be multiplayer," but like the Star Wars nerd in me wants there to be a story. Like that was the coolest part about the old game was like it didn't even have to be a story because there really wasn't much of one in the old game. There was like go to this planet and win this battle, then go to this planet and win this battle. And that's where you got to go like to Kashyyyk for the first time. The first time I ever got to go to Kashyyyk was playing Star Wars Battlefront and like the home planet of the Wookiees and being able to be there and being like, oh, cool, this is where the Wookiees lived. And I miss that aspect, but the game's gorgeous. It comes into next gen very well. Um,
yeah.
I got to play being a snow speeder taking down an AT-AT for the umpteenth time in my life. I was thinking about it. I think I've probably played a snow speeder taking down an AT-AT more times than I've played anything else in my life. In
Even
more,
an
in
X
more,
taking
in
down, even an X-wing taking down the Death Star.
yes, because that wasn't like in all the the Rogue Squadron games and stuff. That's not stuff you did.
Oh, that's right.
Like
Okay.
you just, but the AT-AT thing. I mean, you can do that anywhere. It doesn't have to just be Hoth. It is. It always is Hoth. Um, but yeah, like that Hoth battle, I've played in so many daggone games. I was thinking about it the other day. As I was playing, I was like, how many times have I been in Hoth and had to take down an AT-AT in a snow speeder? I will say this is the most fun I've ever had doing it because normally it's clunky and awful. I think there was some like N64 game where you had to do it, and it was just
The
the
Shadows
hard.
of Fire.
Did you have to take one down in Shadows of the Empire?
I think you did.
Shadows of the Empire was my jam, by the way.
I never played that game. I was the kid that always watched people play video
Yeah.
games,
Hmm.
and that was the most fun to watch outside of GoldenEye.
I would play a remake of Shadows of the Empire today. In fact, I might have to find a copy of Shadows of the Empire. I feel like that'd be a good Let's Play.
Oh,
It might not be because the controls might be horrendous,
oof.
but it was so fun. I remember loving that game as a kid, so I want to do
Yeah.
that again. All right, well that's what we're playing, and let's
Yep.
So the last question we have on tap to talk about is what are you watching? While we're talking about that, if you're in chat and you got things you would like to hear us talk about, go ahead and submit them in chat, and we'll get to them after we talk about this.
Definitely.
So Andy, what you watching?
I am currently watching. Let's see. If we're talking about Netflix, I'm always watching. I think I'm on the last season of Parks and Rec,
Mm-hmm.
which is a solid show. If you have not seen it, Josh has not seen all of it, which is a crime. As far as normal shows that I'm excited about, New Girl is always on point.
Yes.
They've done something interesting this season. Zoe Deschanel, the main actress, was pregnant for like the first, I don't know how many episodes, and so they filmed some at the end of season 3, with her still not pregnant, and then they wrote her out for a
Mhm.
little while. She's in jury duty And so they've had people come and fill in. This week starts Megan Fox.
I'm interested to
She's
see how that's gonna work.
I'm I'm
That
curious.
was a really long pause.
It was. It was because I totally have seen her in things where she's supposed to be funny and she's
I
not.
sense much fear in you.
Uh, um, but I also trust Liz Merriweather, the creator
Yeah,
and
I don't know,
writer.
man. I don't know. I don't know if old toe thumbs can hold on to it. Have you seen this woman's thumbs, by the way?
No, I'm
No.
actually looking at other parts
Go
of the
go
body.
Google everybody do it. You got to do it. Go Google Megan Fox thumbs. Her thumbs look like someone's big toe. Um, it's a thing. Some people have toe thumbs, and she's one of them. Um, so forever to me,
Oh,
she's old toe thumbs. You
oh,
saw it, right?
there, there is a MeganFoxThumbs.com.
Oh my gosh.
I'm looking at it right now. So what you're seeing are legit reactions.
Yeah.
She has a big toe
She
thumb.
has a big toe thumb. I mean, it's not like huge. It's not like a giant's toe, but
That
it's like a tiny little girl big toe.
that is
Woman
a
big toe.
that and Puppy Monkey Baby are in my nightmares tonight.
If Puppy Monkey Baby had toe thumbs, that would be the epitome.
It probably does.
But no, I'm excited. I'm interested because, like you said, there are things that she's been in. She's supposed to be funny and she's not. She has that whole era where she was just a giant douche for a while.
Yeah,
So I mean, we'll see. It could be good. I thought the guests in the last episode were hilarious.
they were funny with yeah, I think people were worried when she left
Hmm.
because the show isn't called Apartment. It's called New Girl.
Yeah, but you
And
know
like,
what? I have a problem with the
girl's
title of
gone.
that show. She's not new anymore.
Yeah,
But
but she's still the newest.
well, yeah.
She's still the new. I don't have a problem with it because of where it was to get to where it is now.
Do you think that they didn't think they'd go this long?
I think if it was done wrong, if it wasn't well made like it is now, I think it would have been 6 episodes. I
Yeah.
think it would have canceled pretty
Well,
quickly.
here's why I asked that because um, when it first started, it had this very long theme song that was very Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah,
It encapsulated the kind of person she is, that bubbly, blah 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 stuff.
yeah.
And they started to shorten that, and then by this last season, they got rid of it entirely. It's just the music, and they have just like pictures of all the different characters. And
Yeah.
it's mostly because they introduced regular characters that weren't in that intro.
Uh,
But when I see stuff like that, I'm like, did one of two things: did they not think it would go as long, or did they think they would spend longer with Jess being the focus? Because I don't feel like Jess is the focus of that show anymore.
I think it boils down to like a good sitcom. A good sitcom is not based off one person.
Right, I agree.
Um,
But this show was
and
written originally to be about Jess.
oh yeah, because it's Zoe Deschanel. Like, where have you seen the other three actors
And by
before?
the way, these guys weren't that good in the beginning either. I mean, they were funny. They were not as funny as they are now.
No, I think because they know how to write them. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
It's now instead of them reacting, the three guys being reactionary around her, it's her being reactionary around them.
Yep.
Or they're all reactionary. I think that the last few weeks have shown what a good show this is because
Yeah.
you can take Coach out, you can take Jess out, and it's still funny. The
Yep.
dynamic is between them, and only you can only do that with a show that's been on for a while.
I agree.
Sitcoms aren't necessarily plot driven. They're very much character driven because they want you to care about these characters. I love like you have a different favorite character each season.
Hmm.
Um, I can't choose anymore.
No, well, I'm stuck. I mean, I like all the characters, but Winston is my jam all the time.
Winston, okay, Winston is your jam. And Winston was my jam last week. Like here's what happened. Like Winston was awesome, but Schmidt was awesome,
Hmm.
but Nick was awesome.
Right.
Like they were all great last week, and I found out it's on TBS now, which
Mm-hmm.
is pretty awesome. Schmidt is my favorite too. They're all my favorite. Um, without Ash, a phoenix is just a bird getting up. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. So that I'm watching that. I also really love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Mm.
Um, and that show is one that I don't like. I would say Andy Samberg is my least favorite character, but even now he's still good. He's gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that show's solid. Um, I love a show called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little against type here, but it's a show about a girl who is crazy. Like it's on the CW. It airs Monday nights at 9, so you can turn this off and then turn that on when we're done. Uh, but it's got musical numbers and
Yeah.
like girl is generally a terrible person. Um, and she's making increasingly terrible decisions, but it is entertaining to watch.
I've only seen the "Sexy Getting Ready" song
Oh my gosh.
from that show.
There's one song that I'll show it to you when we're done. Um, but it's like Face Your Fears, and it's like a standard gospel song, except it's all this terrible advice.
Awesome.
Um, but as far as like dramas, I'm enjoying what Arrow's doing this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious where they're going. I like the tie-ins with The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow. I don't watch The Flash, but I like every episode I've watched.
I'm thinking
Um,
about watching it because it's on Netflix now.
The Flash,
Uh
yeah,
huh.
I've heard it's. I mean, it's solid. I mean, they do crossover episodes with Arrow that make me watch
Yeah, I
both
just
of
don't.
them.
I didn't love Arrow when I watched it.
Um, if you watch the first season, like it finds its footing towards the end.
I'm sure, but I'm at a time in my life. This is going to like I just have high expectations, and so sometimes when a show doesn't like blow me out of the park instantly, I'm like, okay, I'll come back to you.
Or you just stop watching altogether.
But see, I don't mean to do that. Like that's what I'm.
Trophy
That's.
wife. Trophy wife.
Are you kidding me? No, I kept up with Trophy Wife.
No, you did not.
I mean, not as long as you did, but for a while.
You did not. I'm still hurting over that show.
I mean, I was bummed about it, but I think that's what it was, man. I just didn't want to get hurt.
I'm still hurting. I'm still hurting the way people are hurting about Animal Practice.
Man, I'm hurting. I'm hurting over a lot of shows. I think that's what it is, man. I think I have trust issues with television. Like, there's a lot of shows where I'm like, that might be fun. Let me get at you when you own Netflix.
I can't commit my heart to it.
That's like I like this Superstore show to go to what I'm watching. I've been watching Superstore,
Yeah, go ahead.
and but like if it went away tomorrow, I think I'd be okay because I haven't like fully invested into that show. Like I like it, but
Yeah.
it's nothing crazy.
Superstore is fine. Like it's entertaining. It's a good like clean palate cleanser
Yeah.
from the day. I mean, just like any fine sitcom is. It's okay. Like
Yeah.
it's good.
So I've been watching that. New Girl is a staple here in our house, so we're watching New Girl. Um, try to think. I've been like just binging Family Guy recently, like older Family Guy.
Mm.
I started at like season 3, right? Just picked it back up. It's like way back in season 3. And I've just been watching it like every night when I go to sleep. I watch a couple episodes, and I'm in season 8 right now.
Mm.
So like I just watched something 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 Dark Side, um, and so that was good. And like Partial Terms of Endearment is in that season. Um,
Yes, it is.
and so I'm in that era. Like, oh, so the last episode we just watched tonight was the one where everybody goes to that mansion and gets killed off. And what I didn't realize was like that was the first widescreen episode of that show.
Yeah. It was
Um, and I can remember we watched that. Andy and I used to be roommates. We watched that at our house
yep.
as it aired. So that's crazy. Why did it take so long?
Yep. I think that was about when the HD requirement happened.
Maybe so, but yeah. So I watched that episode just now. So I've been doing that. I really want to start watching The West Wing again, as far as dramas go.
Oh, The West Wing.
But every time I think, oh, let me watch The West Wing, I go, I can do that, but also I never finish Newsroom, and so I want to kind of go and finish Newsroom
Watch West Wing instead.
But Newsroom is so good.
Yeah, but West Wing's like a better version of Newsroom.
But I stopped at like this. Did you have you watched all of Newsroom?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm like 4 episodes left.
So you're probably exactly like something huge happened, and then I moved and I stopped watching it, and I haven't
Yeah.
ever picked it back up.
With the
And
dude from Slumdog.
yes, and the other thing that I've been watching, not really my choice, but I've been watching it, is my wife is making me watch through Big Love, which is an HBO show, and we're almost done. So I'm in the home stretch of having to watch. It's not the worst. Let me say that because she can probably hear me. It's not the worst show. It's not my favorite show. I feel maybe about it like the way I feel about Superstore. Like I'll watch it, but I don't need it to live. In fact, right now it's starting to stress me out. I'm towards the end of the run. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Nope.
But towards the end of the run, it just I don't know if they just knew they were done, so they start throwing out like these curveballs or whatever. But that's where I'm at. I'm in the everything falls apart phase of that show, and it's starting to feel like a little bit like Nip Tuck, where you get towards the end and it's like, okay, like everybody's life is awful, everything is awful. Okay. And I don't know if there's going to be any like resolution to that. Kind of the conversations we've had make me feel like maybe it just gets crappier and then it's over.
Mm.
Which wouldn't be unusual for HBO.
Yeah, it's true.
Wouldn't be unusual.
Oh man. Yeah. There's a lot of shows I need to watch.
Yeah.
I keep going back to the standards, man. I keep going back to Parks and Rec. I keep going back to The Office. Keep going back to Friends, How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
And,
My rotation is Scrubs, How I Met Your Mother, Futurama. That's pretty much it. Those three.
keep in mind these are shows we haven't seen just once or twice. These are shows we've seen
No.
hundreds of times.
I have watched
Times.
I've watched Futurama through 4 or 5 times. I've watched Scrubs through like 8 times.
Yep.
And it's still just as good.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, the other show that I've been watching, and this is the Star Wars Rebels show, and it's good. I mean, it's kind of cheesy and kiddie, but it's got some good stuff in there. Especially if you're like a Star Wars fan, there's a lot of kind of little nods to kind of other things. So that's good. And a rumor, I don't think it's going to be true, but there's a rumor that one of the characters in that movie might be in the new movie, or in that show might be in one of the new movies. I don't think that's going to happen, but it would be cool.
Yeah. Be interesting.
Well, actually, I know that one of them might be because there's a character that's getting introduced in season 2 that looks a lot like Snoke. And so I'm interested.
They're not going to introduce a big bad in a TV show.
I don't know, man. Go watch the trailer. There's this guy who calls himself the Old Master, and he looks old and he has like a scar. He's got to be somebody.
Well, okay, but they're not gonna do that. They're gonna save that for the big movies when they make millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars in Episode 8 or Rogue One or whatever movie they're making.
I don't know that they'd ever reveal him as being that guy.
Because even like if you look at the other successful tie-in, which is Agents of Shield, they always like set up the movies. You know, like there was a finale of like go to this castle, and then of course where does Avengers: Age of Ultron happen?
The castle.
In the castle.
Yeah, well that's what I'm saying. Like it almost looks like. Because also in Season 2, Ezra finds this lightsaber that is a crossguard lightsaber, similar to what Kylo Ren uses, except for it's actually stable and is green. And so one of the kind of fan thoughts is maybe he's going to find that and use it, and that might be the blueprints that Kylo Ren builds his off of, because we know that those were blueprints that he found. And if this old master has any connection to that whole scenario, that could make sense. I could see that being, and that's why I watch Star Wars Rebels. Not really for the characters in the moment, but more about what are they telling me about the future of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's sort of like additional stuff.
Right, you don't have to have it, but it's
like
cool.
like if you like comic books, like when they did the Secret Wars stuff and all like the comic book tie-ins, like there were moments in the Thor's comic that led into the Secret Wars.
Yep.
They were sort of like supporting, like you don't need to know this, but it helped. Like
Yeah.
you can.
I
Um,
agree.
so I don't know. I feel like TV is a lead in into it.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't
now
think they would reveal it fully, but I think it might be pushing
when
us into
does
that.
Rebels take place? Right before episode 4?
No.
What's
Rebels is happening. What? Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's right at the beginning. It's before the Rebel Alliance is really a thing.
okay.
Um, and so yeah, so it's between 3 and 4
Okay.
because they fight like in season 1 they fight like a young Darth Vader, which by the way is a really cool scene. He fights him one handed. And then I noticed that in Empire he fights Luke mostly one handed. Um, but you get to see him like I don't ever think about like Vader's old by the time we see him in 4, 5, 6. But like there was a time where he looked like that, but he was still a young dude, albeit mostly a machine. But he was young, like he was
How
still.
old was he? How old was he when he took the mask? Was he like 30, 28?
Let's see. He starts off in the first movie. He's 9. The second movie, he's almost 20. Um,
So
and
that
the
third
third
movie.
movie, he's like 23, 24, I think. If he's that.
So he probably would have been mid 40s in Return of the
Right.
Jedi.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how cool is it to think that there was like a mid-20s Darth Vader, like in
Yeah.
the suit and everything, still at like the height of his like physical ability. And so, of
Yeah.
course, I mean, he's hardcore. That episode is the cool. That's what sold me on Rebels because he fights them one-handed. He fights two Jedi's at the same time, and he's like using the Force to make them almost stab themselves with their own lightsabers, and it's
Yeah.
awesome. But Kanan is in that, and there's a comic about him.
Right.
And so he's like the master, so to speak, of Ezra. So anyway, Star Wars Rebels, you should watch it. It's on Disney and it's kind of cheesy, but if you're into Star Wars, there's a lot of cool stuff there. Um, all right, guys. Well, that's about all the time we have for tonight.
Yep.
Thanks for coming by. I want to say, let's see who we got in the chat. I like to always shout out. Over the night, we've had Anderson Clash,
Yeah. From
Andrew, Lucky Sniper, Braden, lots of names here. Thank you guys for coming out. If you are watching it after the fact and want to hear your name, then you should be here on Mondays about 7:30. I think is the time. I think we can do that. 7:30, 7:45, somewhere in there. Stay tuned. You can follow me on Twitter at HodgeJoshMC. You can follow Andy at Andy Younger. You can follow Jonathan, our other co-host, at BeachJD. Or you can follow our Twitter account at BADHLive. And anytime, send us topics, things to talk about, etc. Cool.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, Andy, for coming out. Thanks guys,
Josh.
for watching, and we will see you guys next time.
See y'all later.
Bye.